Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope we're having a wonderful day out there, and hopefully we're staying dry because it is raining in a lot of the country on this Thursday, and that's a theme we've really seen all week so far. I know yesterday here in Charlotte it was just nonstop mist and light rain. In fact, I picked up about half an inch where I live, and that's really going to again continue through this weekend. Now, I will say going later into this weekend and into next week, I do see a little bit of a pattern change back to normal, including the chance of some snow for some folks. And we'll even talk about some longer range models and what they're showing, potentially a return to a much more snowier pattern, and maybe even for areas further south that haven't really gotten much snow so far this winter, or really any at all. Now, nothing is set in stone, and I'll go ahead and say that right at the beginning. I'm sure as we get closer to February and closer to this pattern change back towards winter, we're going to see plenty of crazy model runs, and I'm sure you're going to see them shown all over the internet everywhere. But I'll also show you some of them. But again, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, hey, this is not a forecast. This is just simply a general idea of what I think the pattern could look like down the road. And once we get to that part of the video, I'll let you know again. Now, obviously, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. Like the video if you like it, and comment. Let me know what you're seeing out there and kind of what you're hoping to see here in the future as we get into the last couple days of January here and into the start of February. Alrighty, with that said, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. And again, we've got an active pattern out there already, just not quite as wintry as maybe some folks might be hoping for. But nonetheless, again, we've got this massive trough that's continuing to dig out west and into the Four Corners, that allowing round after round of storm systems to form here on the diverging side of that trough. And we've already seen so much rain down here into Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. And unfortunately, even more is on the way here throughout today and even into this weekend as well. Now, outside of there, you'll notice we've got another massive storm system in the Pacific slowly working on towards the country. That one likely, again, going to bring rain and snow depending on elevation out there for you folks in the west. So go ahead and get ready for that one. Now, taking a look at radar imagery, watches, warnings, advisories. Again, it is rainy out there for a lot of folks from Boston down the I-95 corridor into D.C. Again, plenty of rain showers this morning, and that will continue this afternoon with more widespread and heavier rounds of rain down here through sections of eastern Texas, through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and even into the western Carolinas, getting in on some pretty good rain this morning. Now, out west, again, we do have some precipitation falling, especially up here into Washington and Oregon, and particularly the western and northwestern portions of those states. Again, valley and coastal rain with some mountain snow here, and same story back towards Salt Lake City and into the higher terrains of Nevada, where we are seeing actually some pretty good mountain snow ongoing today, and that will continue really again for the next couple of days as well. Now, focusing on just advisories, we do have some leftover winter weather advisories for some icing that occurred this morning there into New Hampshire and Maine. By the time most of you are watching this, that icing should be done for, but could still be some slick spots out there, and we have another round of snow and ice on the way, or really two rounds, I should say, here through the rest of this week. So don't let your guard down up there, and we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. Now, to the south and to the west of there, in these green boxes, are flood watches or flash flood watches. A couple red boxes down here as well. Into Louisiana, those are flash flood warnings, and kind of the light green boxes are just flood warnings or flood advisories for some river flooding ongoing. And then all these gray boxes you see are dense fog advisories. It is very foggy for a lot of folks out there, and in fact, that's also what a lot of these kind of beige boxes are here, are for some fog. So again, this very warm air, overlapping the country, combined with all this precipitation, obviously pretty conducive there for some foggy conditions. And again, just make sure you're being careful if you're traveling out there and happen to run into any of that fog. All right, now starting out west, again, I think today's going to be a little bit of a lull for some folks. Other folks, not so much. Again, it's still going to be raining good here into Washington, Oregon, and snowing also very well here into Nevada, Utah, and Idaho. You'll notice that blue showing up on your map there in those higher terrains. Now, as I move this ahead into time, that blue continues to slowly work into the Four Corners region. By the time we're getting overnight tonight, again, widespread rain and snow showers through the Four Corners, but again, a bit of a lull on the west coast itself. And now that changes quickly as that next storm approaches, and by the time we're waking up tomorrow morning and getting into overnight tonight even, here we go, another round of heavy rain at the coast and mountain snow. continuing through much of our day on Friday. You'll notice that continuing to work inland here, and especially getting heavy overnight Friday into Saturday through Oregon and Washington, with again that mountain snow picking up here. This is as far out as this model goes into our overnight Friday and into Saturday. You'll notice that storm system continuing to work inland and likely bringing impacts pretty far into the day Saturday as well. Now, snowfall, again, there's definitely going to be some snow out there depending on your elevation and exact location. And as I always say, I suggest checking with the local National Weather Service office for an exact total. They'll do a lot better showing these maps than I probably will in this video. But again, just know the usual kind of winters here that are in the higher terrains are likely going to see some snow, especially up here through the Cascades down into Oregon and then also into our mountains of Utah, likely to pick up some good snow as well over the next 48 hours and even beyond that, honestly. But this map just happens to go out 48 hours. All right, severe weather, another thing we need to talk about here. This is today. We do have a marginal risk of severe weather here through Alabama, Mississippi, and sections of eastern Louisiana here from New Orleans up through Jackson, Montgomery, Birmingham, Huntsville. Again, main threats will be strong straight-line damaging winds, but cannot rule out a brief isolated tornado in here. Definitely not out of the question, and that also continues going into Saturday. Now, tomorrow, less of a severe weather threat. Saturday, though, it picks back up here. We already have a slight risk issued here for sections of Alabama and Georgia, and that marginal risk stretching back towards Birmingham, Atlanta, and down even into portions of the Florida Panhandle. So, again, going to be conducive for some strong storms there on our Saturday, and we'll have to watch out for that moving ahead in time. Okay, that's kind of, the severe weather threat. Now let's take a look at it on radar. What is this going to look like through the next couple of days? Well, starting kind of today and this morning and afternoon, again, it is going to continue to rain. I know, very shocking here, but it's going to look a lot like probably what you just saw on radar. Sorry. And that's going to consist of rain along the I-95 corridor, heavier rain down into the southern Apps and into the western Carolinas. You'll notice some heavier showers and downpours embedded here, with the real heavy rain still back here towards Louisiana and Mississippi. And again, that's where we could see some of those strong straight line winds and even an embedded tornado in kind of this QLCS of thunderstorms. Now, as I move this ahead into time today, it's really going to just be more of the same with rounds of rain continuing to kind of form here. We'll likely get a heavier batch of rain on the backside of this low pressure through Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa this afternoon, while we're still getting, rounds of rain through the mid-Atlantic and southern Northeast. Now, I expect more rain than what's being shown here into the Carolinas. We still have a little bit of a wedge of cold air here, as well as, just normal Carolina upslope stuff that's going to happen. So I'd expect, more of widespread rain, or at least widespread mist, if you will, through the western Carolinas and even into the Piedmont through this afternoon than maybe what you're seeing on here. But again, throughout today and into tonight, again, it's just going to continue to rain. And by the time we get into tonight, again, more widespread, moderate rainfall here through the Ohio River Valley. Likely higher rates of rainfall than what you saw yesterday, so definitely something to note there. And still scattered rain showers and kind of just misty, foggy night through much of the southeast going into the midnight hour here. Now, it's once we're kind of waking up on Friday that we once again have to worry about some wintry aspects of this. Again, that low pressure now has moved far enough north that we've got a shield of precipitation as it's running into some cooler high pressure. And because of that, once again, you might notice here on your map in this pink, some ice, freezing rain in the pink, sleet in the purple, and snow in the blue breaking out for our Friday morning here through sections of the Northeast and even into Ontario. Ontario that just saw some of that ice, the exact same place is likely going to see it again. Same story for extreme northern New York State there. Again, the mountains of Vermont, New Hampshire getting in on that ice. Sleet and snow into Maine here. And again, as we get later into Friday afternoon, we've got really an all-out pretty good winter storm here for, I think, big sections of Maine, northern New Hampshire, and even the mountains of Vermont there. Now, at the same time on Friday afternoon, you'll notice a little bit drier for the rest of the country than what we saw yesterday and today, but we've still got kind of this complex of scattered showers and storms through the southeast to watch, and maybe even a little bit of some rain and snow back into sections of the Midwest. Now, moving this further ahead into Friday, this is getting into the time about the sun is setting, still snowing up here into Maine. So again, a nice little snowstorm for you folks continuing throughout the day, and we're still seeing scattered rain showers into the southeast and scattered rain showers into the Midwest. Another thing you'll note here is, look at this, another storm system now forming back towards Texas and Oklahoma. So we're really not catching a break at all this week. I can almost guarantee you that. And then here we go, overnight Friday, continuing into Saturday. This is about midnight Friday between Saturday, still snowing into sections of Maine, although finally tapering off. And then outside of there, really just some scattered rain showers, I think, through the northeast and down into the southeast, still dealing with scattered rain, heavier downpours embedded here once again over Louisiana and Mississippi as our next storm kind of gets its act together during the overnight Friday into Saturday. And here we go, waking up Saturday morning. Here comes that storm system. Now we're really getting kind of fierce here. Very heavy rainfall rates. Again, some gusty winds. And this is also from here on throughout the day Saturday. We could be dealing with a severe weather threat as shown here on Saturday afternoon through Alabama and Georgia as that next storm system slowly works inland. And whether you see this severe weather or not, very heavy rainfall rates. Alabama, Georgia, the Western Carolinas, Eastern Tennessee, once again, very heavy rain here for our Saturday. So now through really Saturday, it's going to be on and off rain, sometimes heavier than others, but really just about all the time, at least cloudy and kind of misty, much like a lot of people saw yesterday. Now, rainfall totals now through Sunday morning. Again, this will be kind of the rest of this week here, and we've got a lot on the way, especially kind of getting a little worried here now about the Western Carolinas, a place that is no stranger to flooding here. Again, you'll notice some places here, potentially more than 4 inches of rain, I think is very possible. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see some places isolated there into the mountains of Oconee and Pickens County, Transylvania County, and up towards Toccoa, could hit half a foot of rain. Places like Table Rock, Caesar's Head, again, some of those favored southern-facing slopes. Again, a lot of rainfall on the way here through just the next 72 hours. And outside of there, even into the foothills and the Piedmonts of the southeast, a good 2 to 4 inches of rain, pretty widespread that we're going to have to watch out for. So flooding, obviously a concern with that. And that shows up pretty well here. Day 1 excessive rainfall outlook. We do have a slight risk here from the Western Carolinas down through Tennessee and all the way down to the coastline of Louisiana. But even that marginal risk stretching all the way up into West Virginia. So again, a good amount of rain on the way today, leading to that flooding risk. And that continues tomorrow once again for our Friday. You'll notice here so that slight risk down near the Gulf and then that marginal risk kind of surrounding it. And I'm willing to bet going into the day after on Saturday, likely another threat of flooding for those places I just talked about from the Western Carolinas down through Alabama, Georgia, and into Tennessee. So definitely watching that. Winter weather-wise, again, definitely some impacts with this upcoming storm. The Weather Prediction Center here going from minor to moderate impacts. Obviously, a big section of minor impacts there in Maine due to that snow, but minor and moderate impacts into sections of Vermont and New Hampshire into those higher terrains due to, again, some of that icing that will be on the way. And taking a look at some of those icing totals, again, not off the charts, but enough we need to be worried. You'll notice, again, isolated spots in these higher terrains getting near 1/4 of an inch. Which is more than enough to cause problems, and lesser amounts in the lower terrains, but still about 1/10 of an inch or so of ice, which again, that's enough to cause plenty of travel issues, isolated power outages as well. So watching out for all of that. And then again here into Ontario and kind of sections of Quebec, a big section of ice, even into the extreme northern section of New York, 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of ice here again with that storm system. Snowfall-wise, again, most of the snow we see is going to be in Maine, specifically central Maine here. I think about 3 to 5 inches is pretty likely. I think this is probably underdone just a little bit. So again, a pretty good helping of snow here for a lot of folks up in that region. All right, zooming this out a little bit, this is not the only storm we need to be concerned about here, and we're going to pick up where we left off on Saturday afternoon. You'll notice here we go. We've got that big-time storm system in the southeast, again, slowly getting its act together, bringing heavy rain, potentially some severe weather, and still rounds of rain and snow back out into the west coast. Now, as I move this ahead a little bit into our Saturday afternoon, again, still raining in the southeast, still raining overnight Saturday, but as we get into the early morning hours of Sunday, this is about midnight Saturday to Sunday, again, still getting lashed with rain out west, but in the east, we've got enough cold air now kind of getting funneled into the storm system that we could see this change over to a very wet, heavy snow on the outer periphery of the storm into places like central and northern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and again, by the time we're waking up on Sunday here, we've got rain along the I-95 corridor, but snow breaking out here further inland, again, into Ohio, northern Pennsylvania, southern New York State, there kind of along the Pennsylvania border. And getting later on into the day here, you'll notice Sunday afternoon, it's still snowing there into the interior northeast while still raining along the I-95 corridor. Now, if you're wanting snow on the I-95 corridor, don't get too concerned yet, because as I move this ahead, you'll notice snow slowly tries to take over. But Sunday afternoon, I do think portions of I-95 could see some snow here, kind of into Rhode Island and up into Boston and Connecticut. Looks like we'll have enough cold air there for snow. Same story back down into Pennsylvania. And even some northwest flow snow possible here into West Virginia and North Carolina, not out of the question. Now you'll notice as we go overnight Sunday into Monday, the storm system pulls off the coast. That cold air being supplied by high pressure here continues to funnel in, and now we've got snow for just about everyone from the coastline inland here, from New Jersey, excuse me, into Pennsylvania, New York City, Hartford, Providence, still snowing in Boston, and still dealing with some northwest flow snow into West Virginia and North Carolina before this storm system finally clears out going into our Tuesday. Now, how much snow are we talking? Well, we'll take a look at both of our ensembles. So this is going to be a good kind of ballpark that both models are showing here. GFS, again, showing a good swath of about 3 inches of snow, I would say, here from Boston through sections of Rhode Island, Connecticut, and then into southern New York State, northern Pennsylvania, and even into northern New Jersey, New York City, sitting at about 1 inch here, with lesser totals of 1/2 inch to a dusting down towards DC, Baltimore, and kind of southern Jersey and Philadelphia, but also, again, that band of snow stretching back into Ohio. So, again, just kind of notice the general placement of this. Again, a nice band of where that cold air is able to override, or that moisture is able to override some of that cold air, producing that snow in this general swath. And if we look at it on the European model, a little bit different. You'll notice that swath of snow is shifted a little bit further off towards the north and to the east here, but also higher totals. Our ensemble members here, for our European model, again showing 1/2 foot of snow through sections of Massachusetts, northern Connecticut, and Rhode Island, so plenty enough to cause travel issues and cause plenty of other problems as well here. But again, both models showing the storm system nonetheless. All right, temperatures, again this afternoon, it's going to be warm out there. Temperatures specifically in the southeast, Columbia, Charleston, Savannah, Macon, Birmingham, Montgomery, Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh. Again, a lot of these southern cities getting well up into the 60s, even 70s. And going into our Friday afternoon, more of the same. Very warm temperatures in the southeast, a little bit cooler in the Ohio River Valley, but again, still slightly above average there. Now, Saturday afternoon, still warm in the southeast, but cooling off elsewhere as that cold air and snow slowly kind of begins to take over. And by the time we're getting into Sunday, let me back it up a little bit here. Sunday afternoon, you'll notice temperatures slowly crashing back down here. And then by the time we get into Monday, again, much more average. So today, through sections of the Carolinas, it might hit 70. Once we get to Monday, we're back into the 40s and 50s. So again, this nice warm pattern, I would get out there and enjoy it. I know it's kind of humid and muggy, but nonetheless, those warmer temperatures are kind of nice compared to this back to average weather we're going to see going into next week. And those cooler than average temperatures could hold on for a while here. This is next Tuesday into next Wednesday. You'll notice, again, kind of a little bit closer to what we would expect this time of year, going about a week out. All right, now let's talk about the long-range pattern a little bit. We've had some interesting model runs overnight with some of our deterministic runs showing the potential for some snowstorms kind of in that 10-day time frame. And let's talk about what are the chances of this actually happening. Now, I've mentioned for a while now we'd be in this kind of warmer pattern through the end of January. I've also mentioned going into February, I think we flip back. Now, the question is, how soon in February does it happen? Does it happen kind of in the first week of February here, around the 5th through the 10th? Or does it happen a little bit later on, closer towards Valentine's Day? Well, the pattern we're seeing right now is one, again, that is very warm. So we've got this big ridge kind of over the eastern half of the country, as you'll notice here. That has led to, again, these very warm temperatures pulling northward. Now, as we go a little bit further ahead into time, you'll notice that ridge kind of tries to relax a little bit and shift a little bit further north. And at the same time, our southern jet, or just meaning kind of, where our low pressure track is, stays consistently here along the Gulf Coast. So we've got a pretty, impressive low pressure track here, one that you would want to see. But we still got a little bit of ridging here that's ongoing. Now, it's not the end of the world. We could still see snow out of this. And just to show you, again, what I'm about to show you is not a forecast. This is just a general idea of what could happen. And I think it shows a relatively good storm track for what I think will look like. The bigger question, like it always is, will we have cold air in place? Now, this is our latest GFS model from this morning. You'll notice, as I let me back this up actually a little bit. This is the Sunday, Monday storm in the northeast. You'll notice here it is, spinning away and bringing that snow and rain we talked about. Then after that, a bit of a clipper system looks possible during the middle of next week, about a week out from now. That could bring once again more snow to the northeast, maybe some mountain snow. But more importantly, it brings some cold air with it. Look at this shot of much colder air with this big trough digging down into the east about a week from now. So again, that's why I said get out there and enjoy those warmer temperatures while we have them. And then after that, again, that southern jet kind of cranks up, and with that cooler air in place and a very favorable storm track about 10 days from now. So again, this is not a forecast, just a general pattern that I think could set up. We could have the potential for more of the Carolina, Virginia snow compared to kind of the mid-south, interior south snow we've been seeing. And again, that same general track could continue for a while, as that very active southern jet stream may finally connect with some colder air for those of us further into the southeast, into the Carolinas specifically. Alrighty, again, we're in an active period. Winter has been pretty crazy so far. It looks to continue that way. We've got flooding, severe weather right now, and then big-time snow potentially this weekend, and potentially even more snow down the road here, I think, going into February as the pattern becomes a little bit more favorable. Now, with that said, I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday out there, and I'll see you all tomorrow.